It's absurdity in our PG font. Tycho Brahe's behind creased cardboard, but you don't pull up chairs for humor, do you? You shouldn't miss this guy Cuthris. He shakes a stone. There's Light Eldritch compelling you, the viewers, to hit the merch store. 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 Walnut's Grove is gone, which sucks for a druid. Plus mail is strong, but nuts wise into it. Sigils on the cave wall stabbed like daggers. She took wolf form and she howled aloud. She bit at Cuthris and she snapped her snout. And by her instincts led you to the merch store. Hit the merch store. Hit the merch store. Hit the merch store. Hit the merch store. Rosie, she's shopped there before. All her grandkids get gifts from this store. Little halflings with their kingpins playing footloose. I've seen them picnic beneath the stars, wearing their bright dark magic scarves. It's a one-stop shop for birthdays at the merch store. Hit the merch store. Hit the merch store. Hit the merch store. Hit the merch store.
Denard's a paladin, dragonborn, who treats everybody else with scorn. But you know that they all deserve it, don't you? He gains entitlement from bits, or so Jerry claims, so I guess it fits. And they both expect you all to hit the merch store.
Hit the merch store. Hit the merch store. Hit the merch store. Hit the merch store. Maybe there are gods beyond whose tendrils shift their waking pawns, but Jerry kinda seems like he has got this. Except the times when the phones light up and ideas arise, then outright erupt, and Jerry's gone, volcanic curse at Rothfuss. What now, Rothfuss? Come on, Rothfuss. Ignore Rothfuss. Gosh darn Rothfuss. Dang it, Rothfuss. My game, Rothfuss. Go home, Rothfuss.
Shut up,
Rothfuss. Flippin' Rothfuss. Let's not do this. Hit the merch store. Hit the merch store.
Who's the guy who can conquer death? That's Joe Hughes. He plays for Nashville when he plays Minecraft. That's Joe Hughes. That's Joe Hughes.
The summer is past, but your days keep growing longer. There's no wind in your sails, but the storm's blowing stronger. Walking hard, standing tall,
keeping your head up through it all. Fighting fires,
Spinning plates.
goodness, how it gets so late. Lay your head down and dream.
Lay your head down and lay your head down and dream.
Lay your head down and dream.
Let your mind flow downstream.
Sprawled out in a moonbeam. Lay your head down and dream.
Joe Hills is filmed before a live streaming audience.
That's us! Howdy, y'all. Joe Hills here, recording as I always do in Nashville, Tennessee, and welcome one and all to the end of our streaming week. I stream Wednesday through Monday, so I have been going. This is day 6. We are going to have some fun tonight. Y'all might have caught me reading the first 3 staves of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, which is also in the public, or which is in the public domain. So don't freak out, Google moderator team. I saw Google moderator delete somebody's messages before. I didn't see what the messages were, but that's distinct from automod. That means that the cops are here, so everybody be cool, okay? Everybody be cool. Anyway, we are playing tonight on the Hermitcraft server, which is invite-only vanilla Minecraft server. My friend Etho is online, as well as Good Times with Scar and Impulse's cam account. Probably doing some stuff with that. Anyway, we have made some progress, generally, with terraforming this, making it more, lighten up friendly, but we haven't actually lit it up yet. And I was kind of waiting to see if some folks would build things, and nobody really has. So part of me, though, thinks that what I should do is I should try to refill this chest that I used for that terraforming and jump right in. Now, if y'all have not seen my latest episode, it went out today, so you can make a note to check that out tomorrow or later this evening at your convenience. But in that episode, I opened up my present, which is number 8 over there in that box. And anyway, let's see. So if we're going to replenish that snow chest, we need to actually go get more snow. So let's go ahead and wander down there. I have replenished my shovel earlier. And let's check out Stave 4 of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Now, if I go and I generate a link for you that actually links to Stave 4, there we go. Thanks, Project Gutenberg. Here is what we are reading. It is in the public domain, so you can read along if you would like. The 4th stave. Guys, Stave 4 is called The Last of the Spirits. So, if you were like, how many more spirits are we going to see in this book? Chances are this is going to be the last one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down here, and then I'm going to hit this with the shovel, so we're not just shoveling for an hour. So, let's see. Also, you may notice one more thing before we start. I'm down here in slot 7. If you're like, where's the face camera? It's down here. That's because I'm bad at remembering to ask for money, and I am a single father, so I need to remember to ask for money because this is also my job. So, just so you know, every time we get a $20 milestone in tips, the face camera will expand. And if you don't know how that works, it'll happen sooner or later. So anyway, here we go. Stave 4 of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, The Last of the Spirits. The phantom slowly, gravely, silently approached. When it came near him, Scrooge bent down upon his knee, for in the very air through which the spirit moved, it seemed to scatter gloom and mystery. It was shrouded in a deep black garment, which concealed its head, its face, its form, and left nothing of it visible, save one outstretched hand. But for this, it would have been difficult to detach its figure from the night, and separate it from the darkness by which it was surrounded. He felt that it was tall and stately when it came dang it. He felt that it was tall and stately when it came beside him, and that its mysterious presence filled him with a solemn dread. He knew no more, for the spirit neither spoke nor moved. Hey, wait, really, before I get into the dialogue here, thank you, Ryan, for the 5 via PayPal. We are going to put that right up here on our abacus. So thank you very much, Ryan. That's fine. You actually kind of bailed me out there, Ryan. Hey, Lucas, no all caps. You actually bailed me out because I forgot to do the Scrooge voice there. I started doing that in the narration voice, which is unprofessional. Not that I'm a professional audiobook reader or anything, but still, it's not good. If this was an audiobook, I would have had to do another take because me speaking in my normal voice while doing Scrooge's bits is going to be all around undesirable. I am in the presence of the ghost of Christmas yet to come, said Scrooge. The spirit answered not, but pointed onward with its hand. You are about to show me shadows of the things that have not happened, but will happen in the time before us. Is that so, spirit? The upper portion of the garment was contracted for an instant in its folds, as if the spirit inclined its head. That was the only answer he received. Although well used to ghostly company by this time, Scrooge feared the silent shape so much that his legs trembled beneath him, and he found that he could hardly stand when he prepared to follow it. The spirit paused a moment, as observing his condition and giving him time to recover. But Scrooge was all the worse for this. It thrilled him with a vague, uncertain horror to know that behind that dusky shroud there were ghostly eyes fixed intently on him, while he, though he stretched his own mind to the utmost, could see nothing but a spectral hand and one great heap of black. "Ghost of the future," he exclaimed, "I fear you more than any specter I have seen. But as I know your purpose is to do me good, and as I hope to live to be another man from what I was, I am prepared to bear you company, and do it with a thankful heart." "Will you not speak to me?" It gave him no reply. The hand was pointed straight before them. "Lead on," said Scrooge. "Lead on. The night is waning fast, and it is precious time to me. I know. Lead on, spirit." The phantom moved away as it had come toward him. Scrooge followed the shadows of its dress, which bore him up, he thought, and carried him along. They scarcely seemed to enter the city, for the city rather seemed to spring up about them and encompass them of its own act. But there they were, in the heart of it, on change amongst the merchants, who hurried up and down, and chinked the money in their pockets, and conversed in groups, and looked at their watches, and trifled thoughtfully with their great gold seals, and so forth, as Scrooge had seen them do often. The spirit stopped beside one little knot of businessmen. This is the wrong shulker box. This is why I couldn't find my redstone earlier. Oh my gosh, you guys. Sorry. This was supposed to... The empty shulker box that I'm supposed to fill with snowballs is here. Okay. I'm just like... I knew I lost my redstone shulker somewhere, and I couldn't understand where. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. Also, if anybody's just come in, we are reading Stave 4 of A Christmas Carol. So here, you can find that at Project Gutenberg here. Observing that the hand was pointed to them, Scrooge advanced to listen to their talk. "No," said a great fat man with a monstrous chin. "I don't know much about it either way. I only know he's dead." "When did he die?" inquired another. "Last night, I believe." "Why, what was the matter with him?" asked a third, taking a vast quantity of snuff out of a very large snuff box. "I thought he'd never die." "God knows," said the first with a yawn. "What has he done with his money?" asked a red-faced gentleman with a pendulous excrescence on the end of his nose that shook like the gills of a turkey cook. "I haven't heard," said the man with the large chin, yawning again. "Left it to his company, perhaps. He hasn't left it to me. That's all I know." This pleasantry was received with a general laugh. "It's likely to be a very cheap funeral, for upon my life I don't know of anybody to go to it. Suppose we make up a party and volunteer?" "I don't mind going if a lunch is provided, but I must be fed if I make one." Another laugh. "Well, I am the most disinterested among you," said the first speaker, "for I never wear black gloves, and I never eat lunch. But I'll offer to go if anyone else will. When I come to think of it, I'm not at all sure that I wasn't his most particular friend, for we used to stop and speak whenever we met. Bye-bye." The speakers and listeners strolled away and mixed with other groups. Scrooge knew the men and looked toward the spirit for an explanation. The phantom glided on into a street. Its finger pointed to two persons meeting. Scrooge listened again, thinking that the explanation might lie here. He knew these men, also, perfectly. They were men of business, very wealthy, and of great importance. He made a point always of standing well in their esteem in a business point of view. That is, strictly in a business point of view. "How are you?" said one. "How are you?" said the other. "Well, Old Scratch has got his own at last, hey?" "So I am told." "Cold, isn't it?" "Seasonable for Christmas time. You're not a skater, I suppose?" No, something else to think of. Good morning." Not another word. That was their meeting, their conversation, and their parting. Scrooge was at first surprised that the spirit should attach such importance to conversations apparently so trivial, but feeling assured they must have some hidden purpose, he set himself to consider what that might be. They could scarcely be supposed to have any bearing on the death of Jacob, his old partner, for that was past, and this ghost province was the future. Nor could he think of anyone immediately connected with himself to whom he could apply them. But nothing doubting that to whomsoever they applied, they had some latent moral for his own improvement, he resolved to treasure up every word he heard, and everything he saw, and especially to observe the shadow of himself when it appeared, for he had an expectation that the conduct of his future self would give him the clue that he missed, and render the solution of these riddles easily. He looked about in that very place for his own image, but another man stood in his accustomed corner, though the clock pointed to his usual time of being there. He saw no likeness of himself among the multitudes that poured in through the porch. It gave him little surprise, however, for he had been revolving in his mind a change of life, and thought and hoped he saw his newborn resolutions carried out in this. Quiet and dark. Beside him stood the phantom with its outstretched hand. When he roused himself from his thoughtful quest, he fancied from the turn of the hand and its situation, likely of reference to himself, that the unseen eyes were focusing or looking at him keenly. It made him shudder and feel very cold. They left the busy scene, and went into an obscure part of the town, which Scrooge had never penetrated before, although he recognized its situation and its bad repute. The ways were foul and narrow, the shops and houses wretched, the people half-naked, drunken, slipshod, and ugly. Alleys and archways, like so many cesspools, disgorged their offenses of smell and dirt and life upon the straggling streets, and the whole quarter reeked with crime, with filth, and misery. Far in this den of infamous resort there was a low-browed beetling shop, below a penthouse roof, where iron, old rags, bottles, bones, and greasy offal were brought. Upon the floor within were piled up heaps of rusty keys, nails, chains, hinges, files, scales, weights, and refuse iron of all kinds. Secrets that few would like to scrutinize were bred and hidden in mountains of unseemly rags, masses of corrupted fat, and sepulchres of bones. Sitting in among the wares he dealt in, by a charcoal stove made of old bricks, was a gray-haired rascal, nearly 70 years of age, who had screened himself from the cold air without by a frowsy curtaining of miscellaneous tatters, hung upon a line, and smoked his pipe in all the luxury of calm retirement. Scrooge and the Phantom came into the presence of the man, just as a woman with a heavy bundle slunk into the shop. But she had scarcely entered when another woman, similarly laden, came in too, and she was closely followed by a man in faded black, who was no less startled by the sight of them than they had been upon the recognition of each other. After a short period of blank astonishment, in which the old man with the pipe had joined them, they all three burst into a laugh. Where was it? So if anybody is following along at home, we are reading Project Gutenberg, open public domain version of A Christmas Carol, and we are on stave 4. Okay. Yep, we're doing a reading again. Sorry, the YouTube chat is just all over the place today. People yelling in all caps, breaking Rule 10, all sorts of stuff. "Oi, let the charwoman alone to be the first," cried she who had entered first. "Let the laundress alone to be the second, and let the undertaker man alone to be the third. Look here, old Joe, here's a chance, if we haven't all three met here without meaning it." "You couldn't have met in a better place," said old Joe, removing his pipe from his mouth. "Come into the parlor. You were made free of it long ago, as you know, and the other two ain't strangers. Stop till I shut the door of the shop. Ah, how it shrieks. There ain't such a rusty bit of metal in the place as its own hinges, I believe, and I'm sure there's no such old bones here as mine. We're all suitable to our calling. We're all well matched. Come into the parlor. Come into the parlor." The parlor was the space behind the screen of rags. The old man raked the fire with an old stair-rod, and having trimmed his smoky lamp, for it was night, with the stem of his pipe, put it in his mouth again. While he did this, the woman who had already spoken threw her bundle on the floor, and sat down in a flaunting manner on a stool, crossing her elbows on her knees, and looking with a bold defiance at the other two. "What odds, then? What odds, Mrs. Dilber? Every person has a right to take care of themselves. He always did." "That's true indeed," said the laundress. "No man more so." "Why, then, you don't mind staring as if you were afraid, woman. Who's the wiser? We're not going to pick holes in each other's coats, I suppose." "No, indeed," said Miss Dilber and the man together. "We should hope not." "Very well, then," cried the woman. That's enough. Who's the worse for a loss of a few things like these? Not a dead man, I suppose. No, indeed, said Miss Dilber, laughing. These old woman servant voices are not something I have practiced. I apologize, y'all. But I didn't read this in advance. I don't know what scenes are in this book. So that's a thing. If he wanted to keep him after he was dead, a wicked old screw, why wasn't he natural in his lifetime? If he had been, he'd have had somebody to look after him when he was struck with death, instead of lying gasping out his last there, alone by himself. It's the truest word that ever was spoke, said Mrs. Dilber. It's a judgment on him. I wish it had been a little heavier judgment, as it should have been. You may depend upon it, if I could have laid my hands on anything else. Open that bundle, old Joe, and let me know the value of it. Speak out plain. I'm not afraid to be the first, nor for them to see it. We all know pretty well that we were helping ourselves before we met here, I believe. It's no sin. Open the bundle, Joe. But the gallantry of her friends would not allow this, and the man in faded black, mounting the breech first, produced his plunder. It was not extensive. A seal or two, a pencil case, a pair of sleeve buttons, a bunch of people randomly typing E in the YouTube chat. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, okay, that... let's see. A pencil case, a pair of sleeve buttons, and a brooch of no great value were all. They were severally examined and appraised by old Joe, who chalked the sums as he was disposed to give for each upon the wall, and added them up to a total when he found there was nothing more to come. That's your account, and I won't give another 6 pence if I was boiled for not doing it. Who's next? Mrs. Dilber was next. Sheets and towels, a little wearing apparel, 2 old-fashioned silver teaspoons, a pair of sugar tongs, and a few boots. Her account was stated on the wall in the same manner. I always give too much to the ladies. That's a weakness of mine, and that's the way I ruin myself, said old Joe. That's your account. If you asked me for a penny, another penny, and made it an open question, I'd repent of being so liberal and knock off half a crown. And now undo my bundle, Joe, said the first woman. Joe went down on his knees for the greater convenience of opening it, and having unfastened a great many knots, dragged out a large and heavy roll of some dark stuff. What do you call this? Bed curtains? Ah! Returned the woman, laughing and leaning forward on her crossed arm. Bed curtains! You don't mean you took 'em down, rings and all, with him lying there, said Joe. Yes, I do, replied the woman. Why not? You were born to make your fortune, and you'll certainly do it. I certainly shan't hold my hand. Well, dang it, I can't do this British servant thief woman voice very well. I apologize. This is... I certainly shan't hold my hand when I can't get anything in it by reaching out for the sake of such a man as he was. I promise you, Joe. Don't drop oil on upon that blankets now. His blankets? Asked Joe. Whose else's do you think? He isn't likely to take cold without them, I dare say. I hope he didn't die of anything catching, eh? Said old Joe, stopping in his work and looking up. Don't you be afraid of that. I ain't so fond of his company that I'd loiter him for such things if he did. Oh, you may look through that shirt till your eyes ache, but you won't find a hole in it, nor a threadbare place. It's the best he had, and a fine one, too. They'd have wasted it if it hadn't been for me. What do you call a wasting of it? Asked old Joe. Putting it on him to be buried in, to be sure. Somebody was fool enough to do it, but I took it off again. If calico ain't good enough for such a purpose, it ain't good enough for anything. It's quite as becoming to the body. He can't look uglier than he did in that one. Scrooge listened to the dialogue in horror. As they sat grouped about their spoil in the scanty light afforded by the old man's lamp, he viewed them with a detestation and disgust which could hardly have been greater, though they had been obscene demons, marketing the corpse itself. Ha! Laughed that same woman when old Joe, producing a flannel bag with money on it, told out their several gains upon the ground. This is the end of it, you see. Interesting. Okay, so old Joe has pulled out a flannel bag mixed in with sheets that was full of money. Okay, so I guess that the woman was just grabbing stuff and didn't realize that she had grabbed a fabric bag full of money. This is a sort of detail that isn't in most of the movies that you see of this. Okay, now I'm interested. I mean, I was already interested, but I'm. It's like you had my curiosity, or you had my interest, but now you have my curiosity. Okay. This is the end of it, you see. He frightened everyone away from him when he was alive, to profit us when he was dead. Spirit, said Scrooge, shuddering from head to foot. I see. Dang it, I can't. These two grumbly, gravelly voices together, I'm going to mess it up now. The Scrooge voice. The case of this unhappy man might be my own. My life tends that way now. Merciful heaven, what is this? He recoiled in terror, for the scene had changed, and now he almost touched a bed, bare, uncurtained bed, on which beneath a ragged sheet there lay something covered up, which, though it was dumb, announced itself in awful language. The room was very dark, too dark to be observed with any accuracy. Though Scrooge glanced round in obedience to a secret impulse, anxious to know what kind of room it was. A pale light, rising out in the air, fell straight upon the bed, and on it, plundered and bereft, unwatched, unwept, uncared for, was the body of this man. Scrooge glanced toward the phantom. Its steady hand was pointed toward the head. The cover was so carelessly adjusted that the slightest raising of it, the motion of a finger upon Scrooge's part, would have disclosed the face. He thought of it, felt how easy it would be to do, and longed to do it, but had no more power to withdraw the veil than to dismiss the spectre at his side. O cold, cold, rigid, dreadful death, set up thine altar here, and dress it with such terrors as thou hast at thy command, for this is thy domination. But of the loved, revered, and honored head, thou canst not turn one hair to thy dread purposes, or make one feature odious. It is not that the hand is heavy, and will fall down when released. It is not that the heart and pulse are still, but that the hand was open, generous and true, the heart brave, warm and tender, and the pulse a man's. Strike, shadow, strike, and see his good deeds springing from the wound to sow the world with life immortal. No voice pronounced these words in Scrooge's ears, and yet he heard them when he looked upon the bed. He thought, if this man could be raised up now, what would be his foremost thought? Avarice, hard dealing, griping cares, they have brought him to a rich end, truly. He lay in the dark, empty house, with not a man, a woman, or a child that he was kind to in this or that, and for the memory of one kind word, I will be kind to him. A cat was tearing at the door, and there was such a sound of gnawing rats beneath the hearthstone. What they wanted in this room of death, and why they were so restless and disturbed, Scrooge did not dare to think. Spirit, this is a fearful place. In leaving it, I shall not leave its lesson. Trust me. Let us go. Still, the spirit pointed with an unmoved finger to the head. I understand you, and I would do it if I could, but I have not the power, Spirit. I have not the power. Again, it seemed to look upon him. If there is any person in the town who feels emotion caused by this man's death, show that person to me, Spirit. I beseech you. The phantom spread its dark robe before him for a moment, like a wing, and withdrawing it, revealed a room by daylight, where a mother and her children were. She was expecting someone with anxious eagerness, for she walked up and down the room, startled at every sound, looked out from the window, glanced at the clock, and tried, but in vain, to work with her needle, and could hardly bear the voices of the children in their play. At length the long-expected knock was heard. She hurried to the door and met her husband, a man whose face was careworn and depressed, though he was young. There was a remarkable expression in it now, a kind of serious delight of which he felt ashamed, and which he struggled to repress. He sat down to the dinner that had been hoarding for him by the fire, and when she asked him faintly, "What news?" which was not until after a long silence, he appeared embarrassed how to answer. Okay, let's go ban this person on YouTube. Hey, I'm trying to read a story, person on YouTube. Don't be spamming about your channel. NJ Coffee Junkie, welcome, NJ Coffee Junkie Raiders. We are reading Stave 4 of A Christmas Carol, the public domain version, available on on Project Gutenberg. Here is a link to that while we harvest snow for our terraforming efforts. Scrooge and the ghost of Christmas Future have just entered a room where a woman has been awaiting news, awaiting her husband's return. He has returned and has not yet shared the news. Let's go there now, live. Is it good or bad? She said, to help him. Bad, he answered. We are quite ruined. No, there is hope yet, Caroline. If he relents, she said, amazed, there is. Nothing is past hope if such a miracle has happened. He is past relenting, said her husband. He is dead. She was a mild and patient creature, if her face spoke truth, but she was thankful in her soul to hear it, and she said so, with clasped hands. She prayed forgiveness the next moment, and was sorry, but the first was the emotion of her heart. What the half-drunken woman whom I told you of last night said to me when I tried to see him and obtain a week's delay, and what I thought was a mere excuse to avoid me, turns out to have been quite true. He was not only very ill, but dying then. To whom will our debts be transferred? I don't know, but before that time we shall be ready with the money. And even though we were not, it would be a bad fortune indeed to find so merciless a creditor in his successor. We may sleep tonight with light hearts, Caroline. Yes, soften it as they would, their hearts were lighter. The children's faces, hushed and clustered round to hear what they so little understood, were brighter, and it was a happier house for this man's death. The only emotion that the ghost could show him, caused by the event, was one of pleasure. Let me see some tenderness connected with a death, said Scrooge. Or that dark chamber spirit, which we just left now, will be forever present to me. The ghost conducted him through several streets familiar to his feet, and as they went along, Scrooge looked here and there to find himself, but nowhere was he to be seen. They entered poor Bob Cratchit's house, the dwelling he had visited before, and found the mother and the children seated round the fire. Quiet. Very quiet. The noisy little Cratchits were still as statues in the corner, and sat looking up at Peter, who had a book before him. The mother and her daughters were engaged in sewing, but surely they were very quiet. And he took a child and set him in the midst of them. Where had Scrooge heard those words? He had not dreamed them. The boy must have read them out as he and the spirit crossed the threshold. Why did he not go on? The mother laid her work upon the table and put her hand up to her face. The color hurts my eyes, she said. The color? Ah, poor Tiny Tim. They're better now again, said Cratchit's wife. It makes them weak by candlelight, and I wouldn't show... Whoa, that's a creeper. So now we gotta go despawn this creeper on our way back, or if we forget, somebody's gonna blow up our portal, and then we'll have two troubles. Okay. Core concept, though. I wouldn't show weak eyes to your father when he comes home for the world. It must be near his time. Past it, rather, Peter answered, shutting up his book. But I think he has walked a little slower than he used these last few evenings, Mother. They were very quiet again. At last, she said, in a steady, cheerful voice that only faltered once, I have known him to walk with Tiny Tim upon his shoulder, very fast indeed. And so have I, cried Peter. Often. And so have I, exclaimed another. So at all. But he was so very light to carry, she resumed, intent upon her work. And his father loved him so, that it was no trouble, no trouble. Ah, and there is your father at the door. She hurried out to meet him, and with little Bob in his comforter. He had need of it, poor fellow. And little Bob in his comforter, he had need of it, poor fellow, came in. His tea was ready for him on the hob, and they all tried who should help him to it most. Then the two young Cratchits got upon his knees, and laid each child a little cheek against his face, as if they said, Don't mind it, father, don't be grieved. Bob was very cheerful with them, and spoke pleasantly to all the family. He looked at the work upon the table, and praised the industry and speed of Mrs. Cratchit and the girls. They would be done long before Sunday, he said. Sunday? You went today, then, Robert? Said his wife. Yes, my dear, returned Bob. I wish you could have gone. It would have done you good to see how green a place it is. But you'll see it often. I promised that I would walk there on a Sunday. My child, my little child, cried Bob. He broke down all at once. He couldn't help it. If he could have helped it, he and his child would have been farther apart, perhaps, than they had been. He left the room and went upstairs into the room above, which was lighted cheerfully and hung with Christmas. There was a chair set close beside the child, and there were signs of someone having been there lately. Poor Bob sat down in it, and when he thought a little and composed himself, he kissed the little face. He was reconciled to what had happened, and went down again quite happy. They drew about the fire and talked, the girls and mother working still. Bob told them of the extraordinary kindness of Mr. Scrooge's nephew, whom he had scarcely seen but once, and who, meeting him in the street that day, and seeing that he looked just a little down, you know, said Bob, inquired what had happened to distress him. On which, said Bob, for he is the pleasantest spoken gentleman you ever heard, I told him, I am heartily sorry for it, Mr. Cratchit, and heartily sorry for your good wife. By the by, however he knew that, I don't know. Knew what, my dear? Why, that you were a good wife, replied Bob. Everybody knows that, said Peter. Very well observed, my boy, cried Bob. I hope they do. Heartily sorry, he said, for your good wife. If I can be of service to you in any way, he said, giving me his card. That's where I live. Pray come to me. Now, it wasn't, cried Bob, for the sake of anything he might be able to do for us, so much as for his kind way, and this was quite delightful. It really seemed as if he had known our Tiny Tim, and felt with us. I'm sure that he is a good soul, replied Mrs. Cratchit. You would be surer of it, my dear, returned Bob, if you saw and spoke to him. I shouldn't be at all surprised, mark what I say, if he got Peter a better situation. Only hear that now, Peter, said Mrs. Cratchit. And then, cried one of the girls, Peter will be keeping company with someone and setting up for himself. Get along with you, retorted Peter, grinning. It's just as likely as not, said Bob, for one of these days, though there's plenty of time for that, my dear. But however and whenever did we part from one another, I am sure that none of us shall forget poor Tiny Tim, shall we, or this first parting that there was among us. Never, father, cried they all. And I know, said Bob, I know, my dears, that when we recollect how patient and mild he was, although he was a little child, we shall not quarrel easily among ourselves, and forget poor Tiny Tim in doing it. No, never, father, they all cried again. I am very happy, said little Bob. Very, very happy. Mrs. Cratchit kissed him, and his daughters kissed him. And the two young Cratchits kissed him. I need to get interpolls out of my offhand before I eat. Sorry. Yeah, we are reading The Christmas Carol. This is the public domain version available on Project Gutenberg. Okay. hey, it's Etho again, but I already said hi to him, so it would be unnecessary for me to do so much more. Let's empty these ender pearls, lest we waste such space in our inventory as might otherwise serve great purpose. Niz says, I love this so much, Joe, making these quarantine nights feel not so lonely. I'm glad I could help in some small way. Yeah. So where was I? I needed to scroll anyway. Spirit of Tiny Tim, thy childish essence was from God. Spectre, something informs me that our parting moment is at hand. I know it, but I know not how. Tell me, what man was that whom we saw lying dead? The ghost of Christmas yet to come conveyed him, as before, though at a different time, he thought. Indeed, there seemed no order in these latter visions, save that they were from the future, into the resorts of businessmen, but showed him not himself. Indeed, the spirit did not stay for anything, but went straight on, as to the end just now desired, until besought by Scrooge to tarry for a moment. This court through which we hurry now is where my place of occupation is, and has been for a length of time. I see the house. Let me behold what I shall be in days to come. The spirit stopped. The hand was pointed elsewhere. The house is yonder. Why do you point away? The inexorable finger underwent no change. Scrooge hastened to the window of his office and looked in. It was an office still, but not his. The furniture was not the same. The figure in the chair was not himself. The phantom pointed, as before. He joined it once again, and wondering why and whither he had gone, accompanied it until they reached an iron gate. He paused to look around before entering. A churchyard. Here, then, the wretched man whose name he had now to learn lay underneath the ground. It was a worthy place, walled in by houses, overrun by grass and weeds, the growth of vegetation's death, not life, choked up with too much burying, fat with repleted appetite. A worthy place. The spirit stood among the graves and pointed down to one. He advanced toward it trembling. The phantom was exactly as it had been, but he dreaded that he saw new meaning in its solemn shape. Before I draw nearer to that stone to which you point, answer me one question. Are these shadows of the things that will be, or are they shadows of things that may be only? Still, the ghost pointed downward to the grave by which it stood. Men's courses will foreshadow certain ends to which, if persevered in, they must lead. But if the courses be departed from, the ends will change? Say it thus with what you show me. The spirit was as immovable as ever. Scrooge crept toward it, trembling as he went, and following the finger, read upon the stone of the neglected grave his own name, Ebenezer Scrooge. Am I the man who lay upon the bed? He cried upon his knees. The finger pointed from the grave to him and back again. No, spirit, no, no, no! The finger was still there. Spirit, he cried, tight clutching at his robe. Hear me! I am not the man I was. I will not be the man I must have been but for this intercourse. Why show me this, if I am past all hope? For the first time, the hand appeared to shake. Good spirit, he pursued, as down upon the ground he fell before it. Your nature intercedes for me, and pities me. Assure me that I may yet change these shadows you have shown me by an altered life. The kind hand trembled. I will honor Christmas in my heart, and try to keep it all the year. I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirits of all three shall strive within me. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach. Oh, tell me I may sponge away the writing on this stone. In agony, he caught the spectral hand. It sought to free itself, but he was strong in his entreaty and detained it. The spirit, stronger yet, repulsed him. Holding up his hands in a last prayer to have his fate reversed, he saw an alteration in the phantom's hood and dress. It shrunk, collapsed, and dwindled down into a bedpost. This concludes Stave 4 of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. One thing that strikes me, your narrator, your reader, Joe Hills from Nashville, Tennessee, as I read this, is that, like, Dickens actually imagined a bunch of crazy transformations for the ghosts to do that, like, would have been really neat special effects in a movie version of this. And I don't think I've ever seen the Ghost of Christmas Future collapse and dwindle down into a bedpost, right? That's really cool. Like, you know, it's one of those things, like, there are so many talented people out there. You know, I know we talk about, like, oh, there's too many remakes of movies or whatever, but, like, adaptations of stuff is kind of different because there is no definitive Scrooge. You know, Dickens created the character before the medium could ever occur. And imagining what young actor today might 40 or 50 years from now play Scrooge as we watch or experience this in some sort of actually decent 3D VR stuff. Like, there's so many amazing things that would be so cool to view on film, but, like, will be so much cooler yet to see in, like, an actual VR setting, you know? I'm trying to think. You know, like, the guy who played Merlin in Merlin, I forget his name. Is it... Wiki Merlin TV series. Colin Morgan. It's a very British name. Colin Morgan could play Ebenezer Scrooge in a really good VR experience 40 years from now. And it'd be neat to see. You know? VR audiobooks would be great. I don't know that that's a great idea. Like, the point of... I mean, maybe for... I guess you would have all... What would make it VR? That they had smell and touch in addition? I don't know. I'm just trying to. This Ghost of Christmas Future got me thinking about the future. Hey, thank you, Galdavik, for the 5, who says, my father has 30 plus maybe 40 versions of A Christmas Carol. Well, thank you very much. That puts us $10 away from our next face camera expansion. Actually, our first face camera expansion. Have I seen Disney's A Christmas Carol? Maybe. I've seen a bunch of different versions, but I don't know like who made which one. I saw the Muppet Christmas Carol, but I think that was produced before Disney bought them. You know, actually, who we could do a good Christmas Carol with now. Where's our Peter Capaldi Christmas Carol? Where's our Dr. House? What's his name? Oh, I'm so bad at actors' names. The guy who plays Gregory House. He was also in Avenue 5. Hugh Laurie. Yeah, a Hugh Laurie Christmas Carol would be great. I would be so mad if he did his New Jersey accent, though. So, anyway. Hugh Laurie. Apparently the Disney one is a motion capture movie. Nope, I have not seen it. I've seen 101 Dalmatians. Is Hugh Laurie the dad in 101 Dalmatians? Seriously? Hold on. Hugh Laurie. Oh, wait, no, he was one of the robbers, wasn't he? Wait, but not in the original... Not in the original 101 Dalmatians. He was in the... They made a film version of 101 Dalmatians. They already made a cartoon version of that. Here I said I was going to complain. I'm still going to complain about remakes. You don't need to remake 101 Dalmatians. There's a cartoon that was perfectly good. Yeah, the Avenue 5 accent swapping is great. Wait, the guy who played Ron Weasley's dad in the Harry Potter musical and Hugh Laurie played the robbers. Wow, those Star Kid folks really get out there. I don't know if that timeline lines up, though. Because I think most of them were, like, in college when they did that. He's the one that, like, slams the camera shut, right? Why are we collecting snowballs? To make snow blocks for terraforming. If you want to tip, you can tip via YouTube Super Chat. It is a option you have built into YouTube, John. Okay. But no one has to tip. Bum, 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 bum. Okay. Oh, you know what? I totally forgot when I came back that there was a creeper here. Oh, but you know what, though? The creeper would have despawned because I came back via the bed. I didn't come back through the portal. So, like, we do legit need to, like, light up all of this somehow. Why no channel points? Because I think gamifying everything is stupid. Like, channel points are a terrible idea if your goal is to make entertaining video content. They're a great idea if you're Amazon and you want to, like, to create a bunch of analytics for, like, engagement metrics. But I don't look at my viewership numbers, so why would I want even more metrics collected that I don't even get to see? I think Amazon just sits on those themselves for the most part. They might share, like, a tiny bit of this. So, anyway, see, some of this down here is still Is there a way to do twinkle lights, maybe torches on posts? I mean, I could use chains to hang torches. And we gotta shoot up over here. Yeah, hey, if you're yelling in all caps and I'm flying, then you should just not do that because I'm gonna go time you out as soon as I get done flying. Don't yell in all caps. Okay. How about using lanterns on the ground with snow on top? You know, I was kind of thinking of maybe doing, like, logs. Raphael, there's no bots here. We don't really, want, you know, people giving computers commands. Like, this is your time to relax. You're not at work. Most people spend a lot of time at work telling computers what to do. So, I don't want them to associate this place with that. Okay. So, broadly speaking, we have a few terraforming options. Let's see. Does Jev need more snow? Yeah, we can leave some extra snow for Jev because I think I filled up most of this chest here. Wait, Henry Winkler plays Scrooge in An American Christmas Carol? I've never heard of this. Okay. It takes place in Concord, New Hampshire. Is that a pun somehow? Why doesn't it take place in New London, Connecticut? That would be way better. Our game sound's supposed to be off. Wait, can you not hear any game sounds? Dang it. I thought it was weird that I couldn't... I figured it was something down on my thing. Sorry, y'all. You missed all those good shoveling noises. That's my bad. Okay. So I was thinking of trying to build something from A Christmas Carol, but thing is, I'm not sure how much of it is very Minecraft friendly. Have a good night, Zyber. Oh, I thought you were saying good night. You are actually saying something entirely different. My condolences. That is a really hard thing, and don't worry too much about trying to make sense out of it, because that's not the sort of thing that makes sense in any sort of timeline that you need to worry about right now, you know? I hope you have the opportunity to be together with your family as safely as possible and grieve and help each other out as best you can, given such a difficult thing. So, yeah, my condolences. Okay. Yeah, I thought about making Scrooge's neglected grave, but the problem is I feel like it doesn't work out of context. Like, most of the things in this district are going to be huge and big. Make a statue of the ghost of Christmas past. Yeah, maybe. That's the thing is I was like, should I make a statue of the ghosts or... But, like, there's just not a lot of stuff that just immediately lends itself to being incorporated in this way. Mr. Hardluck tips 20, who says, you and Cleo should make the 20-legged ghost of Christmas... Or tips 5, says, you should make the 20-legged ghost of Christmas past. That's a really interesting idea. We could do that maybe with armor stands. Thank you very much, Mr. Hardlick. That puts us 5 away from our first face camera expansion. Hey. Bed Wars has begun. Maybe Santa's workshop. Is that a dolphin over there? Don't fall on the ice, dolphin. Okay. Does he have an anvil face? I don't see it. Oh, the teeth, I guess. I could do a ride with a bunch of scenes from A Christmas Carol. Maybe. Scrooge's office. Yeah, like, I just... See, the point about Scrooge's office, though, is it's not Christmassy. Like, the author intended for Scrooge's office to feel hostile and outside of the season. Hey, Kevin Blankenship, tips 5, who says, have a happy holidays, Joe. Thank you very much, Kevin Blankenship. That's our first face camera expansion milestone we've hit this evening at $20 total. So here we go. It's time to say, please direct your attention down here to slot 7. Howdy, y'all. Crow Hills here, expanding as I always do in Nashville, Tennessee. Do-do-do-do-do, just going to wander this way, flip our green screen over here so we can properly chroma key out our face and our arms. It's actually really cold in here tonight. I don't have a green screen blanket. I just have a normal blanket. But let's... There we go. Yep, that face camera has always been there. The thing about Bob Cratchit's house, none of this stuff is described in an especially, like, narratively pleasing or mandatory way. I don't know. Just do the entire town from the Christmas Carol. Oh, yes, let's just do all of London in that year. That wouldn't take too long. Oh, good. Somebody got B-dubs in a mushroom. Just like I planned. Can't go to sleep now, B-dubs. What about Scrooge's hat? Yeah, that's just like a nightcap. Like from that song, the one that's like... All my boys and all my peeps. All my boys and all my peeps. All my boys and all my peeps like to wear nightcaps when we go to sleep. What's the lyrics to the verses of that? Nightcaps lyrics. Yeah, here it is, by Jock Slade. I like the nighttime, especially when I'm going to sleep. Got my milk and my cookies, all types of treats. Mama kissed me good night, tucked me in just right. And don't forget to turn on my Scooby bright light. Unibody PJs, footsies out. Squeeze my favorite blankie before I knock out. Off to see the Sandman in my dreamland, where I'm the king and the world's in my hands. So, all my boys and all my peeps. All my boys and all my peeps. All my boys and all my peeps like to wear nightcaps when we go to sleep. At the end of the day, when it's time for bed, I put a special kind of hat on the top of my head. Legitimate double knit with a ball on top. It's like 1900 when my eyelids drop. Wool dyed like a barbel pole, red and white. I'm gonna sleep like an old-timey dude tonight. Snoring and whistling human cartoon. Log getting sawed in a thought balloon. So, all my boys and all my peeps. All my boys and all my peeps. All my boys and all my peeps like to wear nightcaps when we go to sleep. Now I lay me down for keeps. My duvet is thick, my box spring deep. I rotate my mattress like every week. I like to wear nightcaps when I go to sleep. Anyway, and then they do the refrain several more times. Jock Slade, of course, a total genius. What's the point of nightcaps? It keeps your head warm when you go to sleep? What part of this is hard for you? Who are they going to bug? Is it me? We are going to need to grab more snow as well. Lone Star Wolf, no need to worry about not chatting much. Y'all are always welcome to just lurk. There's a town in New Zealand named Nightcaps. Really interesting. Okay. So, that is probably long enough. Where's that bed? Do 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 do. If he's talking to Scar. Bum 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 bum. Okay. Will suits. This isn't a place people come to give robots commands, okay? If you're not here to talk to people, you don't need to be in the chat. I did it. Okay, so there we go. Take that, Scar. How many did he have? 5? I should have matched his caps too. Okay, so we can just fill in some more of these like so. Whose building is that behind the zoo at Cleo's? That's Cleo's Coliseum. Or Cleoseum. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It might be Cleoseum. If it's not, it's an overlooked joke that could have been done better. But Cleo would never overlook a joke. Why does it still say setting up stream? Great question. I've got a thing for that.
8:30 p.m. the usual streaming setup. Turn on the lights, make sure they're bright and gleam. Title, tweet, pour water, tank top, and chroma. OBS seems all set, so I click start the streaming. So I'll pause, fold in, and open VLC. I'll pick 2 songs before lay your head down and dream. I'll say that's us to y'all, Joe Hills from Tennessee. Folks asking when will my stream begin? After howdy, it's items and chest tools breaking. Pickaxe went poof while talking to you professional Minecrafter here, there's no mistaking. So I'll click crafting quick anvil time and champ pick, then I'll replace the books in a random chest with care. I'll tour my winery, I'm sure there's blocks somewhere. And then I'll hush and hush and hush and hush chat swear. Not any closer to recording. Folks keep asking and asking and asking and asking, when will my stream begin? Seriously, y'all, I need to record this next episode I've been working toward. I can't edit without footage, no. Once I'm all geared up, maybe we can start the show.
We can indeed start the show. We are now done setting up. Velcochoniese says, why does he play this music? Oh, because people kept asking when my stream would start, so I let them know that I had a song for that. That's a good way to do it. Okay. It's just easier that way. Wait, so some of these are actual snow blocks. Or are they? No. None of these are snow blocks. They're all the same level because none of them are. Boo. Okay, wait, what has Etho walked into? Are they over here? I don't see any name tags. This is a cute little village. I don't remember. Did Etho improve this himself? I don't remember this being this nice. Okay, so somewhere over here is Etho's actual base. And Scar is falling from a high place. Okay, so somewhere over here. Is that part of Etho's base? No. I like this bamboo forest here. I want to see the surprise. Okay, you know what? Here's the thing: is I don't know where we're somewhere by Etho's base, but whatever. It's fine. We're just gonna take. Oh, you know what? If this is where the games district is, then that means that his base is gonna be over here. Are we gonna be out of rockets soon? Let's maybe get more rockets. I am just burning through rockets now that I have excess. Mr. Cheeks, thank you for the 5. Who says, "Why are you eating bread? Are you out of pork chops already?" No, I made the bread before I got the pork chops, and they go it'll go stale faster. But thank you for the 5. And that is going to put us 15 away from the next face camera expansion. Okay. So it should be over here somewhere, I think. Rocket Man. Burning out of fuel out there alone. Okay. You know what? I give up. It's like broadly over here. That's a good globe. Okay. Is this one Ethos? This feels like Ethos. I'm so lost now. There's some llamas there. I was gonna say, did they change the cows? But those are pandas, I guess. Are they over here somewhere? Maybe they're deep underground or something. Okay, so some parts of this might have been a bad plan. We are now caught inside the redstone at Etho's base, and we don't know how to get back. I think it's broadly speaking back over here. They're in the minigame district near Rendog's logging area. Here's Corrales' base, which makes me think that we totally screwed this up. Okay, we need to go back this way. I'm gonna miss going to bed. I'm not going to get back to the bed in time. Oh, man. These Asuma glassworks are really good, though, y'all. I like this candle, too. See, mine burns at both ends. It will not last the night. Hey, Liara. Yeah, I am getting really worried we are not gonna beat the sun. We are racing the sun so we can go to sleep before B-dubs gets the chance to, yeah, there's the sleigh. There's the sleigh. Okay, there we go. There goes the sun. Do-do-do-do. Okay. Yeah, sometimes you forget just how close together things are on the server. Yeah, I'm sure that'll be in an episode or something. B-dubs is busy talking, so I might have a chance. Or he's negotiating. Can we be 2 for 2? I only won 1 out of 11 bed races with B-dubs yesterday. Or 2 days ago. I forget which day it was. Okay. I want to play a song while I'm trying to go to sleep, but yeah. There we go. Okay. So, there we go. When's my next episode going to be posted? Well, I'm probably not going to start recording it until Wednesday. B-dubs must be sleeping on the job there. Okay. I'm not going to interrupt them because I'm sure they're trying to do their recording thing for their episode. NJ says, how's your hydration? You know, it's the last day of the recording week for me. Tuesday's my night off. So, I think that rather than take a hydration break, I am probably going to start wrapping up the stream. We got the terraforming that I really wanted to get done. Bum, 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 dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Hey, it looks like Good is playing Among Us with pals, and so why don't we go and stop by and raid him. Am I actually in Hermitcraft? I'm not in Hermitcraft. It's very small. But I am a member of the Hermitcraft Artists Collective. But anyway, let's send some folks to go watch Good play Among Us. Good was one of the first Minecrafters I met at Minecon Las Vegas. He's a really cool guy. I'm sure he'll enjoy seeing us. Till next time, y'all.